It was hard. The competitive part of it for me and our staff. More importantly, the competitiveness of the guys. They obviously they want to play. One of the things I did mention yesterday. When you've agreed to and you've got a contract to play somebody, it's very important to me, very important to our staff, that we follow through and we honor those things. But again, mostly the players because they want to play. So difficult from that standpoint, John. But at the same time, when I got up yesterday morning, after having all the conversations on Saturday and going through the decision process in my own mind, when I got up yesterday morning, I knew that we had made the right decision. That it based on all of the things that have taken place. And that are continuing to take place, John. That it's the right decision, but no question, a hard decision, and one that I didn't want to make, but the right one.
Coach, I think it was 7 scholarship players that were available. Just, I guess, talk about the challenges that would have faced had you related to those last 2 not coming.
Yeah. So when we got back from Richmond with Austin, tweaking his ankle early in that game, Evan has dealt with and continues to deal with some patella tendon struggles in his knee. So when we practiced on Friday, the number that you referred to, Brad, is the right number, and then practicing on Saturday with the cancellation of the Wisconsin Green Bay game, we had 7 scholarship players on the floor. Krogs and Drew, would have given us 9 total players that would have been available. But at that point, as again being at practice Friday, being at practice on Saturday, being around the guys, and then giving a lot of thought to, okay, what exactly are we dealing with here? What's the very best way to move forward with the well-being, the health, the considerations for our players. And then when you tack onto it, when you get outside of those things, Brad, when you tack onto it the opportunity to address the guys being able to get home for a couple of days, something that they have not done for a long time, that you don't know the impact that has from just from a mentality standpoint, from a mental health standpoint. The opportunity to spend what would be yesterday until Thursday around noon, when they've got to start to head back here to get back later on Thursday. What those days can do for our guys, not being when they aren't at practice, like everyone else is going through, right? When they're not at practice, they're back at their apartment or in their dorm room, and they're by themselves for that entire time. And so wanting to, this allows us an opportunity to address that part as well. There's just no way to put a number on that. When you talk about injuries, okay, we have this many guys that are injured. The COVID impact that it had on Antoine and his family and the challenges that they're facing. Waiting for the waiver for Gonar. You can put that's easier to see, right? That's easier to put a value on or a number on. The other aspect, there is no way to put a number on it. There is no way to see the impact that is having on the guys, or that this may have on the guys, the opportunity to get home and spend time with their families. So, when we added up all of those things, again, not a decision that I wanted to make, but I know we made the right one. When we get back, so we'll get back Thursday night and have team dinner. When we get back to the practice floor on Friday, we anticipate Austin being able to be on the practice floor. We anticipate Evan being on the practice floor. And then the vote is Wednesday, 2 days from now, Wednesday, the vote nationally for any transfers that still have not been cleared. The NCAA, or that committee, is voting on Wednesday afternoon. So if that vote goes favorably, not just for Gonar, but anyone else in that position that he's in, we could very well have Gonar as well. So we will have moved from 9 players up to 12 players, 7 scholarship players up to 10 scholarship players. So, again, as I've described it, and my thought process, and a lot of things can change for us in the next 5 days in a number of very important areas.
Expectations that you have with this team, just an opportunity really to hit a reset button and continue to hang time.
Yeah, get reorganized. Get our feet on the ground. In the things I've talked about today, haven't touched on AJ. Not being a part of this, and he is this week. He's out tomorrow. He will have surgery. We expect a full recovery, but he will be. He'll miss the remainder of the season. And Titan Anderson will be back late January. Give or take a week or two is when we expect to have him back. But yeah, to get regrouped, get our feet on the ground a little bit, get some guys healthy, more guys available is really where we're at right now. And in terms of in terms of the group, and we've talked about everything but basketball for a few days now, and for all of the right reasons. But in terms of basketball, man, these guys, I really like the group that we have. We're going to miss, we'll obviously miss AJ, but I really like the group that we have. And so when we get them all healthy, we get some practices under our belt. We look forward to the 27th when we get a chance to open up league play against Missouri State. But I'm excited about the basketball part of it, and excited about this team getting better. We made some progress from Sioux Falls to Richmond, and we saw some things that were much better, maybe in particular with the young guys who had gotten their first action in Sioux Falls, and now they had an opportunity to go play against Richmond after playing against 3 good teams, and just saw some really good things that way. And we've got a very good idea of the areas that we need to be better in. We've played against 4 good teams, and we had the opportunity in the home game against St. Ambrose to play a 5th game, but we've played against 4 good teams. So we've got a really good idea of things that we've got to do better. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to getting them back here on Friday and getting started again.
Follow up on AJ. When he wasn't able to play, you could see him coaching the guys in timeouts on game day. Physically, will he be able to continue to be active and involved with the team, or will there be a couple of weeks where maybe he won't be as mobile?
Yeah, I don't have a timeline on that. We'll know more as they get through this week. After surgery tomorrow, and get through this week, he and his mom will return to town on Saturday, and so I don't know when he'll be able to be around at practice. If it's going to be immediately, if he's in doing his rehab immediately with Bish, or how that looks, Brad, I don't have a timeline on that, but we'll look forward to that as well. It was one of the timeouts, maybe coming out of a timeout at Richmond when he was standing on the floor. We had gone toward the bench, and the guys had gone toward the floor, and he's standing on the floor next to Bowen, describing to him what he had seen, and I wasn't close enough, and I didn't move over that way. AJ's perspective on, I don't know if he was talking offense or defense, but AJ's experience and perspective is going to be the best one that Bowen can have. So you ask a great question, and we'll look forward to when AJ can be back around the practice floor to have those conversations and be on the bench, come game time, whenever he's able to do that again. Yep. Thanks, Brad. Hi, Colt. Yeah, and they have. His minutes have all come at the 5. That's been the position where we have worked him and where he's got it and where he's gotten his practice reps. As I've thought about Cole, the games we played in Sioux Falls, maybe in particular the second two against St. Mary's and against Utah State with their lineup and being bigger at the 4 and the 5. And even with the game with Richmond, there may have been some opportunities for that. So that is something that we've talked about as a staff. It's something that I have thought about. Because of his ability to make threes, it keeps enough three-point shooters on the floor if he does play at that power forward spot. One of the reasons we really like him at the center spot is what we have seen in terms of his shot-making ability. Those shots that he is getting right now while he's playing the center position, trailing the top of the key three that we've seen a lot of, that's more available against an opposing center. It's less available against a power forward that's more mobile. So thinking through it, there's some real positives to it. We're bigger. Defensively, we're bigger. Rebounding, we should be stronger. So really dependent on who we're playing against, Cole. In terms of whether we'll see that or not, but I certainly wouldn't rule it out or take it off the table. Yep, thanks, Cole.
Coach.
Hi, Nick.
The next time you guys return to action will be the beginning of conference play. I know with scheduling, there's no easy answers, but your league so elected to go with the back-to-back games this season.
Yeah.
Reduce travel. I guess what are your thoughts on that trade-off of less travel, but now you're asking these players to play back-to-back games during conference play?
Yeah, the back-to-back, Nick, is I guess not. I'm not. It'll be different, but I'm not as concerned about the back-to-back. The times when we would do that would be in tournaments. In Sioux Falls, playing 3 days in a row. Other tournaments that we've played in, of course, in usually the November, December timeframe, right? Playing back-to-back days, or again back-to-back days. So I'm not as concerned about the back-to-back. I don't know what it's going to be like playing the same team on back-to-back days. That is something that I don't know anything about. We have seen a little bit of it, not back-to-back days, but in Orlando coming out of that tournament, we played Xavier in the championship and turned around a few days later and played Xavier. And I think there's one other recent example maybe that I'm not thinking of, but that's as close as we've been to back-to-back days with the same opponent. So I really don't. I don't have concerns about playing back-to-back, but I'm curious and giving as much thought as we can to playing the same opponent back-to-back days. That's going to be different, and we may have to think a little bit differently as to how we approach that. Lean on the Xavier experience, any other ones that we've had where it's been close. At the end of the year, last year obviously we played Drake at their place. We turn around a few days later, play them in the quarterfinal game. That's happened a time or two. So those would be the examples that I would go to, or experiences that we've had that I would go to, Nick, as we prepare to play the back-to-back games. But yeah, no question that it will be different.
Do you think teams will be able to adjust game plans much between those games? Or is it just a matter of trying to execute better there?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't. There's going to be both. There's going to be. I think there's going to be plenty of instances where teams are solely focused on a limited number of adjustments, but executing better, and there will be some teams that make some bigger adjustments. You always want to execute better, but make some more wholesale changes in terms of their X's and O's. I think we're going to see both. I do. I think we'll see some teams that really stick to what they do and just try to do it better in the second game. And I think we'll see some teams that do things differently. If maybe play more zone in one of the two games. Maybe some things offensively. If they've got some things that they can do that are different enough in one of the two games, whether it be first game or second game. So, Nick, I really think we're going to see both of those things happen.
And then just from an injury standpoint, obviously, you have 2 game stretches there. You have somebody out for one game, probably out for that next game too. How concerned are you on how that can impact your roster during conference?
Yeah, that one I don't think is much about, simply because that part of it is outside of our control. We have control over the other part, what our focus is, getting ready for the games, what adjustments that we would want to make game to game or going into a weekend, some things we may want to do on the first day and hold some things back for the second day. As we were talking about in your previous question, those things we've got control over. The injury part of it, that's gonna be what it's gonna be. So I haven't given a lot of thought to that, and I won't.